Hi everyone, it's Fire, and you know what, I'm not even gonna beat around the bush here, so let's just get into the main subject of this video. Why is Anna's arcs misunderstood? Because for those of you who might have forgotten, around the time of airing of episodes 15 to 18 of this Venture Camp, Hannah's been quite on the fandom's radar, and it stemmed from the fact that her arc didn't really make any sense to justify her behavior. In case you have completely forgotten, then let me remind you. So, long story short, when Hannah was 5, she had lost her mother, which profoundly affected her. And because while in the game she's cursed, the second she makes new friends, they all have to be eliminated eventually, which deeply saddens her because as when she's losing a friend, as you know, they are getting eliminated, but also because it feels like losing her mom to her. And this is where the fandom's onto her because losing a friend on a reality show because they got eliminated is obviously not the same as losing a parent because, as you know, she can still see them once the game is over. Hence why it doesn't justify all her breakdowns in those episodes after she hit her limits when it was time for Benji to get eliminated. And to that, I see the point. But you saw the title, and I don't agree with this. But I see at least what the fandom means here. Because, once again, who in the Logan hell would react to a friend living with the same feeling as losing a parent? Like, it's as ridiculous as comparing someone that experienced a violent hurricane or earthquake, and suddenly the person panics because of, I don't know, a strong gust of wind, which is illogical considering what the person already experienced, and what he experienced was worse. Or someone that witnessed an assault or a war event, and that same person still digs or freezes just because he had a firework. Like, yeah, it feels so ridiculous, and yeah, Hannah's situation really feels like that. So, why on earth would a nation cartoon write her like that? Well, here's the catch. Trauma doesn't care about logic. If a person experiences a massive traumatic event, later triggers don't have to be equal in intensity. They just have to remind the brain of the original trauma. And to come back with our examples, someone who survived an earthquake might shake when they hear rumbling, not because it's dangerous, but because it reminds them of that fear. Or someone who lived through a war might, like the war event, might scream at fireworks just because the sounds reminds them of a gunfire, for example. So, with that said, might we affirm then that it's what happened to Hannah, her losing her mom, especially at such a vulnerable age? Might it be the reason the moment she sees a hint of her friends leaving causes her to have breakdowns, get mad at people, including her friends, and so on, justifiable? Well, I'm pretty sure not everyone reacts like that, at least to my knowledge, but well, the thing is, most people don't react to their trigger the same way. Reactions varies in function of people and trauma, I guess, but whatever. Oh, but Live of Fire, that doesn't really make any sense, because then, why did she in episode 17 curse her mother for leaving her alone, when she seems to have finished a long time ago grieving about her death? After all, she knows 100% her dying isn't about her willingly leaving her, but just about her just dying, and that's it. Better yet, why does she let Amelie behind in the challenges, which could have resulted in her getting eliminated after all? If the trauma was purely about death, her reactions to Amelie potentially getting eliminated wouldn't it look like sadness, fear of loss, or protectiveness, or whatever? I mean, look, I know she decided not to care anymore after Benji's eliminations and Natalia giving her advices, but still, shouldn't she at least feel some sort of panic, fear, helplessness, protectiveness, and so on to the 2% chances of Emily getting eliminated. This is why I believe Hannah's story is misunderstood, because if she was triggered just over her mother dying, it wouldn't make any sense based on the last points I stated. But in my opinion, she did not get triggered over her mother dying. She got triggered over her mother leaving her. And that's a massive emotional difference. Someone can accept that a person died. They can cry, they can grieve, they can come to terms with it, but the wound of being left behind is a whole other monster because it's about abandonment and not about death. And that's exactly where Hannah's emotions are incurred. She was 5, she didn't have the cognitive or emotional maturity to understand Mom didn't choose to leave. A 5-year-old doesn't have that logic. Kids that age only understand the result. Mom was here, mom is gone, I am alone, therefore she left me. That's the original trauma, not the loss. That's why she spirals when a friend's elimination happens. That's why she melted down when her closest friend, aka Benji, got eliminated. Because yeah, that also depends on how long and how close she was with the person. And that's why she got angry and cursed her mother for abandoning her, even though she knows logically it was her mother's fault. But when it comes to trauma, logic doesn't matter, emotion does. And as the emotions she displayed when she was 5 was probably Mom was here, now she's gone, I am alone, she left me, how could she? Hence the presence of her anger towards her. Her trauma isn't rooted in death, it's rooted in abandonment. And